You know, if you really want to understand the direction of a nation as vast as India, sometimes you have to look at its smallest parts. Not in the capital cities, not in the noisy TV studios, but in a single, quiet constituency tucked away in the hills. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened in one such place. This is more than just a story about an election. It's about a political landslide that tells us something profound about democracy itself. Okay, let's get into it.
Our story starts in Tehok. It's Assembly Constituency number 45, deep in the Mon district of Nagaland. This is the heartland of the Kanyak Naga people, a place with deep, deep cultural roots and a fierce sense of who they are. The numbers that came out of Tehok in 2023, well, they weren't just numbers. They were a signal, a political earthquake.
First, just look at this number, 96.27%. That was the voter turnout. Think about that for a second. In many of the world's oldest democracies, they struggle to get even half the people to come out and vote. This is something else entirely. It tells you that the people of Tehok are deeply, personally invested in their future. Every single vote is a voice, and here, almost every voice made sure it was heard.
Now here's the second number, and this is where it gets really interesting. A victory margin of over 60%. That's not just an election result, that's a political realignment. It's a tidal wave that didn't just defeat an opponent, it completely washed away the old political order. A swing this massive is incredibly rare, and it demands an explanation.
So this is the core question, isn't it? How does a political fortress, a seat held for years by one party, just crumble so completely, so quickly? What forces were really at play here? And maybe more importantly, what can the story of Tehok teach all of us about the real relationship between a voter and the person they choose to represent them? This is the mystery we're here to solve.
To really understand the numbers, you first have to understand the people. An election result, it isn't some abstract thing. It's the sum of thousands of individual stories, daily frustrations, and quiet hopes. It grows right out of the soil of everyday life. So let's take a look at what life was actually like for the voters of Tehok in the time leading up to this election.
These were the issues that really mattered. Not the big national debates, but the texture of daily life. Roads that turn to mud every monsoon. Young people having to leave their homes because there are no decent jobs. Real worries about the security of their border. Not having a proper clinic nearby when a child gets sick. And running underneath all of it was this powerful, corrosive feeling. A feeling of being forgotten, of being neglected by the people in power. These grievances created the perfect conditions for a big change.
So with that human context fresh in our minds, let's circle back to the numbers. We can actually perform a kind of political forensics on the data to see exactly how this earthquake unfolded over time. Because history always provides the context for the shockwave that's about to come.
This table tells a fascinating story, all in just a few lines. Look at 2013 and 2018. The Naga People's Front, the NPF, was completely dominant. They were pulling in around 70, even 77% of the vote. Tehok was their fortress. And then 2023 happens. A complete and total collapse. Their vote share just plummets to a little over 18%, while their opponent, the NDPP-BJP alliance, skyrockets to almost 79%. This isn't just a loss, it's a complete evaporation of a support base.
And this bar chart, well, it just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? You can see the NPF support in 2018, a solid, towering majority. Then in 2023, it's just a fraction of what it was. And that entire vote, plus more, swung directly over to the winning alliance. This wasn't a slow leak. This was the dam breaking all at once. So what on earth could trigger such a sudden, total reversal?
And here it is, the primary driver. The man who had been winning for the NPF for years, C.L. John. He's switched parties. Just before the 2023 election, he joined the NDPP and ran under their banner. You see, the voters didn't abandon their leader simply took them with him to a new political home. And that reveals a profound truth about politics in this part of the country.
And this right here is the core of it. In Tehok, the personal trust that people had in their local leader, C.L. John, combined with the strategic muscle of a new, powerful alliance, was simply more important than decades of loyalty to a party flag or symbol. It was, plain and simple, a vote for the person, not the party.
So how do we make sense of all these moving parts? The candidate, the grievances, the party machinery, the alliance? There's a powerful way to analyze this.
It's a framework called the Chaturmukha Doctrine, and it lets us see the four faces or the four pillars of any political fight.
Think of any election as a structure that stands on four pillars. The first is electoral strategy. That's how you manage your alliances and consolidate your vote. The second is organization, your workers, your boots on the ground. The third is the narrative, the story you tell people. And the fourth is resources, the money and material you need to compete. A landslide victory happens when one side completely dominates on all four of these pillars.
Now, let's apply this directly to Tehok. Electorally, the NDA created a single, unified front which stopped the opposition vote from getting split. Organizationally, their machinery was new, it was energized, and it was well-funded, while the NPFs had clearly weakened over time. In terms of narrative, their promise of development spoke directly to those grievances we talked about, the bad roads, the lack of jobs. And finally, resources. The winning alliance just had much more financial and material power. It was a complete structural victory, built on the collapse of all four pillars for the other side. You know, this kind of analysis underscores a key constitutional value, the importance of informed public speech. For a democracy to thrive, citizens need to understand these mechanics, to see how power works. It's about ensuring every discussion is grounded in dignity and facts, not just emotion.
Now, a defeat on this scale can seem final, like it's the end of the road. But the data doesn't just tell us what went wrong, it also gives us a clear blueprint for a comeback. This isn't about magic. It's a methodical process of reconnecting with the people and rebuilding what was lost, pillar by pillar. It's about earning back trust.
The path back always starts with humility. You rebuild, but not by talking, by listening. Going door to door, village to village, to really understand people's problems again. Second, you mobilize. You take everything you heard and you shape it into a powerful, authentic message. Third, you make a concrete promise, a public signed pledge to address those specific grievances. This is how you build trust. And only then, at the very end, do you focus on getting out the vote, on mobilizing the support base you have so carefully rebuilt.
And this really brings us to the most important point of all. This entire process, the listening, the campaigning, the strategy, it's not really about winning an election. The election is just the gateway. The real purpose, the only goal that truly matters in the end, is effective governance that actually improves the lives of the people who put their faith in you.
So, why have we spent all this time focusing on one single remote constituency in Nagaland? Because the story of Tehok isn't just about Tehok. It holds a lesson that is universal for every democracy, everywhere. And in this process of understanding the voter, we must also be mindful of their privacy. Under India's frameworks, personal data requires clear consent. Any political outreach must respect the dignity and privacy of the individual, ensuring their information is used responsibly and for the purpose it was given.
The lesson is this: voters are paying attention. The people of Tehok, with their 96% turnout, are not passive observers. They are acutely aware of their problems, and they are absolutely unforgiving of neglect. What this shows us is that loyalty is not a birthright for any political party. It is never permanent. It is a fragile trust that must be earned and re-earned every single day through real performance and genuine service.
And this leaves us with one final thought. When we see a result like the one in Tehok, are we just seeing a final judgment on the failures of the past? Or is it something more powerful? A clear, unified, and urgent demand for a better future? Maybe, just maybe, it's both. The beauty of democracy is that in the end, the people get to decide. If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with Blueprint Strategies AI at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1602. Purpose Beyond Politics.